Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am C. Hope you're doing well. It's been a minute, hasn't it? So wanted to do a couple of things today. I'm trying to get back into the flow here a bit, but I also wanted just to tell you quickly what's going on here. So I'm going to do that first, and then we'll look at a few charts, some of the things that I'm looking at. Still very active in the hobby. Just summertime, especially in Minnesota, that's when we get out and do stuff here. So taking advantage of that. So first and foremost, appreciate everybody who has reached out in comments via email. Just wondering if I was okay. So I'm not dead yet or anything like that. Everything's going well, happy, healthy. Got 3 boys. They're all in baseball. I coach 2 of their teams, and so 4 nights out of the week. We are doing that, and then games on weekends. So it gets a little bit busy. Not a lot of time for other things, especially YouTube. So I enjoy the YouTube thing. My channel is very small, and on a good week, maybe we're getting 70, 80 views on a video or something like that. So it's pretty easy to brush that one to the side. I'm not a channel that's getting couple thousand views every time out, and so I don't feel the same level of responsibility. So that's part of the deal. I can come and go as I please, and maybe that hurts. Maybe that maybe it doesn't matter so much. I don't know, but again, I appreciate all the support. I've made videos really kind of weekly. I put them together, but I just haven't posted them mostly because I feel bad about not being able to. The people that watch videos here, I try and reciprocate. If you've got videos out there, I try and watch those as well. I just haven't had the time to do that, so I feel really bad about posting a video knowing that all the great channels out there, I'm just not going to be able to get to them all. So I kind of have to let that go a little bit here. Again, you guys put out some great stuff, you guys and girls. I'm just not able to get to it as much as I will in the winter. That's for sure, when I have more time for this kind of stuff here. But I'm just going to put this out, and it is what it is. I'll pop in here and there when I can. But also, just a little bit of frustration as well, because I am a small channel, but I think what I'm putting out, it's like I kind of feel like this is something different, something that was useful. We've had some pretty excellent calls, and some bad ones, but mostly some really good ones over the time. And I keep seeing content out there that just they don't understand what a chart is and how to use it. And in investing, they're making predictions like this isn't predictions; these are probabilities and risk reward and things of that nature. And that was a source of frustration as well. It sounds like sour grapes. I get it, but I'm human, so. I'm getting 70, 80 views. These other channels getting multiple thousands. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So that's always been a source of frustration, and I don't know if anything ever changes that one. So again, I'll put out things kind of from time to time to get Tommy involved. I can talk him into stuff pretty easily here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll have a little bit more time going forward now that the main seasons are done with. So all right, thank you for letting me do that. But yes, I will. I'm not gone or anything like that. It's just gonna be a little bit more sporadic, I think, from time to time here. So anyways, this is what I do. Some people like it, a lot of people don't care, then that's fine. This is just my niche in this YouTube game here. So over the past month here, the card ladder, they've added some stuff here, and they've actually organized things or categorized things or aligned things from best performer to worst performer, making it a little bit easier to pick out what is doing well, what isn't. So the market's been in a pretty steady correction. This isn't anything new. People are talking about, is a crash coming? It's like, we've crashed, all right? I mean, that's happened. That goes back to 2021 or something like that. We had the peak and came down, and the 8 people that were watching me then, they saw that. And so things are just kind of in a persistent downtrend. A lot of these names are off 50-60%, and is it time to buy? I don't know, but we'll just try and spot opportunities here and there. So hockey season just winding up here. And those cards are still on a little bit of a high here. The vintage names, people are running for the safety of the known quantity, and those are the vintage names. I mean, their legacies aren't going to change a whole lot from here on out, and those have held in. But then you look at pre-war. I didn't even look at what was in there. So really vintage, super vintage. I don't know here, but the golf names, baseball names down off a couple of percent. You get into the kind of the meme areas or whatever, the entertainment, the Pokemon, some of the ultra modern wrestling, the stuff that goes up the most really quickly, it tends to be the things that come back the fastest as well. So, and also conversely, the things that go down the most, if you think that you are at the bottom, these are the areas that you want to look at. They're down the most, and they're the ones that have the potential to come back the fastest. And so if you look at a lot of the ultra modern and the Pokemon Entertainment, those are getting taken out to the woodshed here, down high single to low double digits. So a couple of names in these areas here. Oh, real quickly, are we at a bottom? So I think there's a pretty high correlation between, especially with cards and the speculation part of things. Pretty high correlation between more of the risky assets like the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, things of that nature, and some of the riskier parts of the market. And so here's a chart that goes back a decade for the NASDAQ, the Qs, the top of the NASDAQ 100, and the momentum looks terrible still. So it's like, okay, maybe not over, but we've also hit an area of support that we've touched a few times in the past, and that relative performance line against the S&P starting to flatten out. So if this starts to get going, maybe the risk appetite for the card market starts to come back as well. So just not advice by any stretch here, just something I wanted to throw out there for your consideration. All right. Hocket's holding up pretty well, and a couple of the names in there that are doing some of the heavy lifting. Kirby Dack, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I apologize. PSA 10 Young Guns of 2019 had a very nice pop to break his downtrend here. Now it's not a name that I think I would chase at this point. The price isn't going to kill you or anything like that, but if you can get it closer to $100, you're probably doing all right for yourself here. One person thinks that's the price. You have a lot of people. Did you miss that? A lot of people think this is the price. So I don't know if you chase it. I think the upside is kind of limited. We don't see more buying coming here before you get too excited about it, but that is a card that has broken its downtrend. Typically, we'll see some sort of a retest, and then that'll be a better entry point on that one. Leandro Saito. We've talked about him plenty. He's having a terrific season, great playoffs. I mean, this guy was in the top handful of scorers for the season, and he was getting some love, and he kept making new highs. You just didn't hear about him a ton for whatever reason, and so kind of drifted lower, and now we're hitting an area of support with a big bounce. So again, there's a lot more buying in this $400 area. So this thing's $480. So $480 down to $400, that's not insignificant. You're talking about 15-20% drop. And so there's a lot more buying in that area here. I don't think you need to chase that particular sale. But the way he's playing, he and Austin Matthews, it's like, those are some young players that won't get you, cost you Connor McDavid prices or anything like that, but could have some longer-term relevance in the hobby here. So the vintage names, again, they're up a tick or two here. And Pete Maravich is getting some love. This is not his rookie card, which is also up quite a bit. I mean, they were up, all these cards were up 60-70%, but this one was up the most. This was his 71 tops. I think that's the second year, PSA 8. A couple of sales, really volatile. Again, the card market, this is mostly for fun here, just because all this stuff is so thinly traded. So the card market, you don't have a lot of these out there. So for people to push these prices around sure isn't difficult here. So this particular card, however, has made it up to the top of its recent range, and is likely something you just want to watch for the time being and wait for a little better price, $400 or something like that. It's currently sitting at, what is that, $550. Surprisingly, in the month that I've been off, my eyesight hasn't improved. I still can't read those numbers any better. Weird. I thought I thought my eyesight would get better with time, but apparently that's not a thing here. So a little too much of a move here. I mean, these were too much, and it's just very thin. Expect some volatility and some potential choppiness here. But if you're able to catch it somewhere in the middle of this $550 and in this $200 area, then I think you're doing all right here. Jack Nicklaus with a nice couple of sales here, so bottom of the range, and getting a nice pop here. So it's really in an area where a lot of buying is taking place here. So I think with a lot of these cards, if you're expecting to make money, and this is part of the reason why the card market is just dull at this point here. There's not a ton of money to be made. There's a handful of names that are working. There's a lot more that are flat, and there's some that continue to make some new lows here. And that's not going to attract a lot of capital. So you're getting down to collectors for the most part. And there's some speculation still, I think, but that's going to happen at the low end. People aren't going to sink thousands of dollars into cards right now until they see some upward momentum, something more sustainable. So for better or worse, that's how it is. And as a collector, I think it's better. So, but middle of the range for Nicklaus. Again, there's some meat on the bone there, but in the middle of the range, we'll see what happens here. And OJ Simpson. All right, you guys. you guys think that Deshawn Watson character is bad news. Here's O.J. Simpson for you. Here, a quick Google of yeah, Deshaun, not a bad guy after all, huh? So yeah, maybe he's punny bad, but a lot of those whatever his court cases, they'll sort itself out, innocent until proven guilty, right? Some people were found guilty in at least civil court reasons, anyways. But a big pop here, so that's a big move, and it's again lower priced card. So if someone's paying $137 for a card that's usually around $100, do they care? Probably not. Not a big deal. So top of the range, and whatever. Just sit back and watch for the time being. Kind of surprising here. Now, but look at some of the names that have moved downwards the most, that really have gotten their butts kicked here. And these guys aren't used to getting their butts kicked. That's for darn sure. So, we've been watching this card off and on for quite some time, and it's been a pretty persistent downtrend. And so we didn't like that move, and said, if you wait for something in here, and that it held, in that $1,000 range or whatever. I think it was a little bit more, $1,200, $1,500, or something like that. So, maybe even $2,000. Yeah, whatever. It was higher. So now you're getting these. Kind of these one-offs. So just like when we see cards spike up and there's one buyer up there, it's like, well, there's one person that thinks that's the price and a whole bunch more that think this is the price. A lot of people think this is the price, and there's probably, if you're able to get that at the current price rate here, sub $1,000, there's probably a lot of people that are willing to pay $2,000 for that particular card in this area here. So could be a one-off. Not sure you're able to get it for that price. Who knows what happens here? How reliable the card ladder data is. But yeah, so that's a one-off in the favorable direction for buyers here. And the quick news about Card Ladder: I've ended my subscription with Card Ladder. Again, I wasn't using it a ton, in a day-to-day sense when I'm doing my collecting. I don't use it very often, and so the subscription runs out in a couple of weeks here. So maybe I'll crack out another one or two of these here. But rumor has it, one of the other big providers is going to come up with a pretty sweet deal. And I just get sick of looking at the same names overall. Card Ladder is not terribly expansive in the sports that I'm looking for here, primarily baseball. So if one of the bigger providers that can give me information on some of the lower priced cards, some of the younger players in baseball, the up and comers, I'll be very interested in that. So we'll see how that plays out here. But my Card Ladder is going to run out here soon. So. Again, maybe I can do a couple more of these, but we'll see how that plays out. But I'll look for another provider if it's cheap enough. But my membership to like StockCharts.com is like $12 to $15 a month, and I get every stock and mutual fund and ETF, and I can do historical data. I can save my charts. I can annotate them. I can do all sorts of crazy stuff. It's like, why would I pay $15 or $20 for a handful of names that I can't do any of that shit with? I have to put it into Paint and screen capture and draw these lines and can't even save it. So rant over. All right, fine. Okay, longer term. This is why I like multiple time frames. And so if I do get another service here that has a breadth of cards, and they I would hope they would have multiple time frames. I love a year or two just to kind of get a sense of it. But if you can go back, the farther back you go, the more important the data points are. And for this particular card, look how this comes in. You had a couple of one-offs back in 2019 and 2012, and look, here's your one-off again, bringing you right to that line of support. So whether or not it holds, I don't know, but it's like, all right, your risk reward is kind of favorable here. Every time we've had this, it's been a quick snap back here. So that's where I kind of like it. Now, if it breaks out of this one, then you're going to go to an area where there's a lot more buying, which is $400, which seems kind of crazy, right? But I mean, this was a $6,000, $7,000 card, and would people say it's going to be a sub-$1,000 card? That seemed crazy at the time as well. So who knows what happens here? But interesting setup here, and this is why we like the multiple time frames, and especially the longer term stuff here. Harmon Killebrew, another one that had a right around his highs and got beat up here, PSA 5. So currently sitting sub $300 and brings it to an area of support as well. So kind of like those ones that get beaten up just a little bit. Sandy Koufax, the same thing. So you can kind of see a bit of a pattern here. You look at some of those mid-50s baseball cards. Well, those are getting sold off now for whatever reason. I think people are they bought up here. They've had enough, no moss. Whatever the reason, or they just need a few bucks or something like that, and these are the cards that can generate half a mortgage or something like that. Whatever reason, these are getting sold just a bit here. So we've got again a move back down to potential support for Sandy Koufax. So that's an interesting enough card for me. So I don't know, I'm gonna be super patient and wait for it to get a lot lower, but I don't know if that'll happen. But for now, it's like, all right, that looks like a decent spot here. All right, a couple of cards I am buying here. So Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer Eddie Murray. So I'm picking up the cards I'm picking up, either they're low priced modern stuff on a couple spec guys. The Shane Baz's, McClanahan's. Before the season, it was Jordan, so he's no longer that much that cheap or anything like that. The way it's going, but the established guys that they're kind of being forgot about just a little bit here. And Eddie Murray's certainly I don't know if about inner tier, but elite level tier Hall of Famer for the most part here. So I had one of his cards, and so I wanted to put together a few here. So I bought his top 78 Topps rookie, and also picked up his Topps Chrome Black autograph, which I think are beautiful cards. You get a nice on-card auto, and those things go for $40-50, where else you can get an autograph of those here. So bottom of the range, getting a nice little lift here. And so Eddie Murray is a player that I am buying. Cal Ripken is also a card that I'm buying, that 82 traded. I hadn't had one here. It's been a persistent grind lower, and it's like, all right, this is probably this is close enough for me. So it could drop down into the low 300s, is what it is. As that trend continues to grind lower. But it's like Cal Ripken, that's a pretty iconic card from the 80s for the most part. And it's like, all right, I'll when it got up to here, I'm like, I'm not that darn interested. But down in here, it's like, there's enough buying here. Again, I don't expect to make a ton of money or anything like that, but I would expect Cal Ripken's 82 Topps traded card to be worth more than other cards in the 82 Topps traded, and so relative to those cards, it'll hold its value, I think. So again, grinding lower, but seems like an interesting enough spot. Card that I did do all right on is the Bowman Chrome Adrian Beltre. This is the refractor. Those refractors are a little bit tougher to come by in the mid 90s Bowman Chrome sets, and so that's his rookie card here. And for the price that I got, it's had a nice pop here. If I was smart, I'd be selling, but I'm not that wise. I'm not smart enough to do that here. But again, this is your kind of your inner circle Hall of Fame guy. Played a long career, and batting wise, he's behind Mike Schmidt and one I can't think of the older guy here. Very very famous name. I don't want to screw it up here. Obviously I'm like, oh duh, right? Fielding wise, probably right behind Brooks Robinson. This is like a top 3 third baseman of all time, basically. So he'll be first ballot Hall of Famer, and maybe his cards are starting to get love now in anticipation of that. But the 97 Chrome is a nice card. If you can get it in the refractor, it's even better. So I'm also looking at I think it's maybe 95, but it's 97. Scott Rowland has one as well, and if you can get the refractor, he'll be in. I think he's in probably next year, in that next voting here. So, all right, get to some of the widely held here, and today's just going to be mostly baseball. When I start to do my fantasy research for football, we'll do more football, so I just don't have much to say at the time, although now is the time to probably be looking at those, but there's a lot of people out there that do better with football than me anyways here. So, Mike Trout, a sub $2,000 card. Now we had our range, $2,500 to $3,000. Said, all right, break either way is going to be by about a $500 move for the most part here. So if it breaks to the upside, you're looking at a $3,000 card. If it breaks to the downside, $2,000 card, and that is where we are at. So bottom of the range for now. Not that it can't go lower, but mid-season, he's having a great season, but he's not having a number 1 or 2 type season, right? That's what you need, I think. So that's going to put pressure on a lot of other kind of the higher end cards. Not that there are any higher end modern cards left or anything like that, but yeah. So sitting at decent support. So it's like, okay, if you're buying, then you're looking for upside to maybe 2,500. If it breaks that again, then you're talking $1,500 or something like that for the PSA 10, and you should see the 9s, around $500, $600, which it hasn't for a while, but it has been there, and that's just within the last few years, so it is certainly possible. Aaron Judge having himself a season. When healthy, top 5 player, incredible season. He's really tearing it up here. But too much too fast, getting really thin here. This is the refractor, and a PSA 10 got around to its previous highs and rejected, and so now you're coming into an area where it's like, all right, this. Unless he gets hurt, this is probably a decent enough spot here. So if he gets hurt or just goes into a prolonged slump, then yeah, you could be back into this $150 area or something like that. But for now, the way he's going, this seems like an interesting enough spot. If that's what you're looking to do. I don't think this is the time to buy Aaron Judge. I think it was preseason, that was the time to do it. Speculate. In season, you're going to have a handful of guys that just really get a lot of hobby love. Aaron Judge is one of them, and you just kind of watch. You put him on your list, and you wait for a slump, an injury, or you wait for the off season. I think he's kind of in that basket. But if you must do something right now, it seems like, all right, decent enough spot. Just manage your risk appropriately, and again, $230. I mean, for some people, that's a big card. That's a good number, and for some people, it doesn't. So you can manage your risk as well by what you're willing to lose. Here's a guy who's having himself a terrific season as well. Again, probably not buying up here. He's around the all-time highs. We've talked about him in the past, and this basing pattern is just like, he needs a few more years of being really good, right? If you really want to get these prices up with some other potential Hall of Fame type guys. He's your front runner for the NL MVP as it stands right now, so that's really good. He's doing absolutely what he needs to do here. Really a terrific season. If he is able to lock down an MVP, then that's a justified price. It puts him in line with like the Mookie Betts of the world, and there's more important. A lot of people, especially the sports writers, the people that are voting on this stuff, they just like him. They want to see a Paul Goldschmidt type in the Hall of Fame. They're rooting for him, and if he can get an MVP, that really breaks any ties. If he makes it to 60 wins or something like that, 55, 60 wins, but he has an MVP under his belt, it's like, all right, well, good enough. He's got that MVP. We can absolutely put him in here. So again, he needs a few more years of what he's doing. He doesn't even have to do this. This is insane. This is absolute gravy, but sure makes his case a lot stronger. So people are taking notice. And again, here's the best season. And not the best season of his career, but relative to the rest of the league, it sure is. MVP level type stuff here, and if he's able to keep that going, but it's like, all right, is that when you buy? Probably not. Like Goldschmidt now, it's like, all right, watch, enjoy, root for him, and off season you probably see that card come back down. So again, I don't think there's anything you have to do right now. Although touching the bottom or the top end of this previous trend, it's like, okay, we've seen pops here before, so if you're quick, go for it. But now's maybe not the time. Your lvarez, who may be your front runner for AL MVP at this point here, just having a monster season. Really, the last month has been crazy, but this is a player before the season said, look for good chance he's going to finish as a top 10 bat in the league. That's where he's at, like 8 or 9 or something right now in terms of weighted runs created, just going on a monster run here. So the card that I liked and kind of grabbed before the season here, and it's coming back into an area where if you're able to get it for sub $40 or something like that, it's a PSA 9. So it's the short print. I love the image variations. I mean, God bless the people that love the refractors, and I like them too. But the colored parallels and all that, I mean, they're neat. And some of the backgrounds, I love the sapphires. I'm a sucker for it. But if I really want a different card, I'm looking for the image variations, and it's like, all right, well, that seems like a pretty good number. And there's a super short print. And that one's going to be about $800 or $900, I think, in a PSA 10. And so, but yeah, you can get into some of those image variations. Be very careful. There's a complete set image variation. Don't pay very much for that one. I'll give you one if you need one of those. But yeah, as far as the true short print, it's they call it the walking with the bat, and it looks kind of cool. You have the lights in the background. It looks like fireworks or something like the natural. But heck, if you can get that price, I mean, your lvarez could be a great player for a long time as long as those knees hold up. But he's a legit bat, and we'll wrap it up here. All right, just trying to get my feet back under me here with Francisco Lindor. I'll forever talk about Francisco Lindor. 28 years old, 37 wins above replacement. I mean, can he over the next 7 years, can he be like a 3.5 win player? Just average that. Then he's satisfied, the kind of that 60 wins for the Hall of Fame, kind of your minimum requirement. You have to do some other things, but he's an elite defender at the position. He did something generational by being the best defender at his position for a long time. So, maybe Andrelton Simmons, but I think people will, they'll say, all right, Frankie Lindor, he's pretty good as well. Mr. Smile, they like him too, Mr. Smile, right? So he had his uptrend. This is the Prospects autograph, BGS 9510, broken trend retest, and now you're in a pretty good downtrend here, and this is decent level support maybe for a quick pop, but believe me, I mean, this is a guy that, again, that Hall of Fame path is for other players of his age. He came out early, 2021, started putting up 7-8 win seasons, just monster stuff. Actually had an elite bat. He doesn't do that too often. His bat is above average, but it was elite for a couple of years there. But, banking that war early, 7, 8 wins on per season. And then, now, even last year, considered a really bad season, he was still, 4.5, 5 win player. So he's on that pace again. So, really that he's got a glide path to that 60 wins. He's got the Gold Gloves to go with it. So he's doing something generational. So again, if this is if you're looking for Hall of Famers, this one's a bit under the radar. I mean, dude, it's one of the bigger names, right? I get it. But, I think the hobby is not looking at him very hard right now. So you've got his first Bowman that is leaking lower. And again, if it made its way down to $150 or something like that, I'll get another one for the most part there. So I think a little bit sneakier card in 2010, he had a Team USA card, and that was also a Bowman Chrome first. And you can get those refractors raw for, and they're numbered to 200 or something like that, 199. You can get those for 120, $125 or something like that. So don't ask me how I know. But anyways, yeah, I think there's some opportunity there if you're patient. Again, that downtrend is still in play here, but that's Goldschmidt maybe. You look at a lot of these other guys, Judge. Maybe can he do another 5 or 6 years being like a 4 or 5 win player and do something generational? I mean, his home runs aren't quite what you think they are. And so he'll have to play some more and just be an elite level stuff. And with his injury history, who knows what happens? Or here's a guy that really did so much early. It's like, yeah, he's got a better shot than most of those guys. So that's my thinking on it at least here. So, hey, that's what I got for you. I took up plenty of your time. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see y'all in the very near future. Take care. Bye.